Good morning. It is August 30th and it is now 7 o'clock in the morning. I've probably been here for about 15 minutes, got to work. My daughter doesn't start school until next week, so I'm super excited about that. This is her first year in public school. I homeschooled her up until first grade, and then she attended first grade at a public school. I had homeschooled her up until then. She attended public school at first grade, got admitted to the gifted program because she was reading on a third grade level, and then for second grade she was going to go to a public school, but after being tested for the private school for second grade, she was skipped until third grade and was taking fourth and fifth grade classes as well. So I'm really excited for her journey, and excited for what I did before her journey started as far as education goes in school systems. I know that I was extremely blessed to be able to do that, but that's not the point of this video. So anyway, the point of this video is to give you my top tips, well, a few of my top tips for reaching out to teachers and things to ask your child's teacher before you approve their class. And yes, public school parents, private school parents, you can approve or disapprove your child's teacher regardless of what state you are in. You have that right to say, no, I do not, or yes, I do want this person to educate my child. And so I have them written down right here. The first question you want to ask, or I suggest you ask the educator that your child has been placed with, is, who are you? Now, when I ask this question, I'm looking to find out what kind of person I'm dealing with, you know? And I have absolutely no clue what happened. I think when I reach forward on my phone, my camera goes out because I have it on split screen. And I have a Galaxy S8 Plus. No, I don't have the S9 yet. I know, I'm slacking. But if anybody has any tips on that, let me know. But yeah, I ask, who are you? And like I said, when I ask this question, I'm trying to find out who I'm dealing with. Am I dealing with a person who is big on titles and recognition? So are they going to say, I'm an educator that has graduated from XYZ school with my master's in XYZ. I've also led workshops and things like that. Is that a person who is going to be big on titles and recognition and also bring that mindset to the classroom? And so is your child really good with not being the one who's being recognized all the time and sharing recognition with others? Or does that pose a challenge for your child who feels inferior when they don't always get recognized? Because some children need constant recognition, some children don't need recognition at all, and some children feel embarrassed by recognition. Now, yes, these are things that happen outside of education, outside of school settings, that need to be addressed, you know what I mean? But especially if you're dealing with fifth grade and younger, let that battle be a battle that you as a parent address and teach. Don't let that be a life battle at school. Certain lessons are great to be learned at school, but school is not for life lessons. School isn't really to educate your child, but that's a video for a different day. I'll use my right hand to try to move, because I text myself the information that I was going to use, because I had literally so many different tips, but I was like, this video will be too long if I sat here and did all these tips this morning. Plus, I would be late for work, so I didn't want to do it like that. But yeah, titles and recognition you want to pay attention to. A person who is more sensual and spiritual will give you character traits. I am a loving person with goals of being a lifelong learner and aspirations of blah blah blah, right? Those are the type of people that are going to be more nurturing. So if your child works really well with nurturing environments, then this person could be a good fit for your child. If your child needs someone who is a little bit more patient, a little bit more observant, a little bit more patient, observing, a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more kind. People who list their, like I said, character traits tend to reflect more on themselves. So they do a lot of self-reflection. Now, this could be extremely good or it can be extremely bad in any given situation. You know what I mean? Because you don't want your child in the classroom with someone who is constantly and consistently beating themselves up, not feeling like they're good enough. So pay attention to that too. Also watch body language. How comfortable is this person answering your questions? How uncomfortable is this person answering your questions? Now, signs of discomfort aren't necessarily a bad thing, because that person is feeling challenged. And sometimes feeling challenged lets you know that I didn't come here to play. Which is, I mean, you, especially in public schools, especially if you're a person of color, especially if you are a young parent, because trust me, I get it. Like, I go in there with Jordans and braids, and I have tattoos, and my nails are pink, and they look at me and I think they already have, an idea or a stereotype or an assumption of who I am, what type of mother I am, what type of child my daughter is, and the type of situation that the school year is going to be. And it blows their mind each and every time I get in there and I ask questions and I open my mouth to speak. And then I sit back and be quiet and allow my daughter to do the same. It is very important for you to let people know when it comes to your child, you laugh, you joke, but you don't play. You don't have to be nasty. I encourage you not to be nasty. You don't have to be rude. I encourage you not to be rude. But it is a certain assertiveness and command presence that you need to have and you need to establish with those who are in the school systems when it comes to your child. Especially, like I said, if you are a single parent, a young parent, a parent of color, it is very important for you to go ahead and put that framework into place. Another person to look at is a person who, I did a person who is sensual and spiritual. I did a person who is, I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes. A person who is big on titles. And why? Oh, okay, yeah. Now, an unsure person, right? Because we have a sensual person. We have a person who is big on titles and recognition. An unsure person will probably repeat the question when you say, okay, so who are you? They'll be like, who am I? And they'll probably give you their name. This, for me, personally, I don't want that person. Not that anything is wrong with that person. But for me, I would feel like they weren't as experienced as I needed them to be. I need you to know who you are before you try to tell my child who she's going to be. And if you don't know who you are, then you are not going to be able to observe her well enough to pull out of her her strengths and challenge her in her challenges. So I wouldn't suggest that person be your child's teacher. It could be a great teacher, but just for me and my preferences, no. I feel like you want to know who is spending time with your child, because people probably will get offended when you ask these questions, but you aren't there to make best friends. Make friends, yes, at the school. You want to be friends with the teachers, but not best friends. Because what I need you to understand is we're co-parenting. You understand? We're co-parenting. And I need to know your perspectives. I need to know your experiences, because these are the things that are going to control your decision making, and your decision making is going to affect my child. And so I need for us to be on the same page, at least as far as understanding goes. I need to understand why you think the way you think and make my own decision if that's okay with my child. So that's my first tip. My second tip is to make sure that you know that educator's goals for the year. You need to know what that educator is striving for, and if it relates to what you have in mind for your child. So to make sure it's a good fit for your child's ability too. So if you have an educator and you ask this educator, so what are your goals for the year? And they say, I don't know, I want all of my students to be at least at level 15 in reading, right? And you know for a fact that reading is a challenge for your child. It causes frustration, it causes anxiety. They get really, really exhausted. It exhausts them. They get very anxious. All of these things, you know that reading does this for your child. So in that situation, in that conversation, you can either suggest the things and strategies, tools and strategies that you've already been using at home, which if reading or writing or math or science or social studies or comprehension, if your child has any weak areas, well, I take that back, any challenging areas, because we all have things that we can grow in. If your child has any challenging areas, it is your responsibility as the parent to make sure that they are getting what they need, not the school. I don't care about IEPs. I don't care about inclusion classes. I don't care about any of that. If your child has struggles and challenges in any one area, that is your responsibility as the parent to make sure they have what they need. Don't let principals and speech pathologists and therapists and pediatricians and reading specialists and guidance counselors and psychiatrists and psychologists, don't let all these people try to tell you that they have it. And then you just wander off and back off and leave it to the professionals. That child is yours and is your responsibility. That's my tangent. So you need to provide the educator with any resources and tools that you have been using at home that kind of level out or smooth over these challenges so that your child is comfortable with learning and at that level, or you need to ask for resources yourself to be put in place into that classroom, or you need to ask for your child to be reassigned. If you know that goals for the year in your child's classroom are going to be difficult for your child to meet in the beginning before that class even starts, you need to assess if that's going to be okay for you, if that's going to be okay for your child, and options that are going to be available to you. Regarding that situation. And my next tip, how those goals will be achieved. And this is like very, 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 very important, because you need to know if those goals are going to be achieved in the classroom or if they're expecting you at home to do more than what you're already doing. So if the goals are to read more chapter books, is this going to be stressful for your child in the classroom? If the goal is to add more homework on to increase the work at home, which has been proven to not be effective. So make sure you do your research on that too. If your educator tries to say that they want to increase homework, do your research, and I'll link some information regarding this whole thing later on today, when I get off, just to increase your knowledge about some of the things that I touched on. But yeah, if it's increased homework, if it's increased classwork, if the teacher, the educator might say, we're going to cut back on recess because our kids go to PE every day. So we're going to cut back on some of our recess time to do creative work. Watch that too. Terms like creative, terms like innovative, and watch, I want specifics. Don't try to give me fluff terms to kind of like hide what's really going on. Either a lack of instructions or an increase of sitting at a desk. You don't want either one. You don't want either one of those. So you need to make sure that you know how those goals are going to be achieved and if they're going to affect your home life. Because you know if you're working nights so that your baby can eat, and your baby's at mama and papa house, and that homework is not going to be assessed at the level in which you would like to be able to do it, but it is what it is, you need to let that teacher know. Like, listen, extra homework is not going to be effective for my child. Either my child gets anxiety for homework, so more homework is going to create a problem at home, and it's not benefiting her or him to have more work at home. It's actually posing more harm than it is good. You need to let the teacher know that, because some kids it's just too much. They've been at school all day, they get home, and homework causes anxiety. I'm an educator myself. I see it all the time. Each and every one of my students does not have the same at-home requirements. It is what it is. Or two, I don't have that time. My child is not with me at night. I'm a single parent, or my husband and I, or my wife and I, both work nights. Like, each situation is different, and you don't have to apologize for your situation if you are doing what you feel is best for your child. And if you have to work nights so that you can be there when that baby is going to school and getting off that bus, then do you, baby. And I need for my educator, my principal, and whomever else needs to know that an hour of homework at night is not going to work for my family and my household. And if that's not going to be able to be adjusted, I need to get a new teacher. And if the principal isn't willing to help, you need to go visit the superintendent and let them know that you are doing everything in your power as a parent to make sure that your child is successful for this school year, but you're not receiving the help, the assistance, and the resources that you need to make sure that happens. They're going to do that because, now, don't quote me on this for every state, but I know here in Virginia Beach, where I am, if the public school cannot provide the resources that your child needs in order to be successful during that school year, they are required to pay for your child to go to a school that can, whether it is in that city or not. So look into that. Get familiar with your school's, your district's homepage for the school. Get familiar with the superintendent's website. Get familiar with the principal. This is why I always tell parents, meet with principals. Like, I interviewed my daughter's principal before I registered her for school to make sure leadership-wise, that school was up to par with what the goals are for my child. You need to make sure that those goals are specific for what you have with your child, which means if you don't have goals for your child, you need to get some. Because if not, you're leaving that child at the mercy of whomever receives them. Who's getting your child? Are they empowering? Are they challenging? Are they encouraging? Are they doubting? Are they condescending? Are they sarcastic? Do they have a growth mindset? These are all the types of things that you need to be concerned and assessing when it comes to your child. And that's all I have time for today. Have a blessed day. I hope this helps. Keep me posted in the comments below. If you have any specific questions or you need help navigating some of the things for school as it relates to your child, I will do my best to help you. Just leave your email in the box below. I'm looking around because some of the educators are starting to pull up. All right, I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Peace and love.